Red is good, right? Well, it's 8 o'clock. We'll call the May 11th, or yeah, May 11th meeting to transit to order. Roll call. Everyone's here. Approval of minutes from the April 13th meeting. Got motion and second to approve the minutes. All those, any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passes. Public hearing none, nothing placed. Staff reports on Austin.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning to the couple new faces I see here. Some of this will be a little bit repetitive to others that aren't new, but I just have one or two slides that really pertain to the new members in the room. But Transit Commission meeting, May 11th, 22. The agenda today, we'll talk about ridership, financials, the electric bus update, staffing, around the shop, around the buses, and on the route. So what we do, we have 5 routes during the academic year, 5 daily routes. One is a free community route that stops at 15 stops every hour, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday, doing the same loop 8 times a day. And then 9 a.m. through noon on Saturdays during the academic year as well. No Saturday routes during the summer. Doorstop and Red Cedar, that's a door-to-door bus service. And you call the dispatcher, we pick you up at your house when we take you to your appointment or wherever you need to go get groceries, anything like that. It's $3 per each way in town, and then $5 if you are outside the city limits. And then our UW Stout route, that is a 3-stop loop between upper and lower campus that runs from 7:17 to 9:09 p.m. Monday through Friday during the academic year, and today is the last day of the semester for that route. Ridership, every month we go through how we did this last month compared to the months before, and then a couple times a year we go through how we did to the previous years. The Doorstop and Red Cedar ridership decreased to 585 in April from 593 in March. That's down 1.5%. So about the same as the month before, with it getting warmer out. And then looking back to how we did in February and March, it was up 25% in March. Next up, the community route ridership increased to 819 in April from 746 in March. If you look back to March, though, there was a week of UW Stout spring break. So it's right on pace with how we did in the colder months. And then the Stout route ridership was 13,000 in April, between 20 days that we ran it, down from, up from 12,380 in March. But if you look at the rides per day, we actually had more in March. Financials, this actually ran through the end of May. That way it would cover the staffing bill that the staffing that came in after April. Hold on. We're getting back. Okay. Well, we'll keep going. running the like this. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties here, but we're making it through. Okay, so I ran this report through May just to cover the March staffing invoice that was submitted last week. That puts us, if you include the April bill, around 27,000 that's yet to come, puts us around 28% through 5 months to the good, being close to 30% beating the budget right now. Looking up to the top right corner, Sarah's on the call today. We had the opportunity last month when we talked to with how 2021's funds worked. We were reimbursed it at 100% this last year for our 5311 funding. That normally funds 80%. In a year like that, it doesn't happen often just because of the CARES funding that we got. That's what happened. But normally we get funded 80%. In a year when we get funded 100%, we can't use our 8521s as local match towards that 20%. This last year, we had 118,000 in 8521 funds that get dispersed through human services. Our options were to count it as contra expense, which would pretty much deduct it from what we brought in last year completely, or put it into a trust fund that we can save in the future for capital projects. With this coming in April/May, a lot of the final 8521 reporting was done. So Sarah spent a lot of time amending that stuff. But since we didn't have a trust fund set up, we were able to do this and save that 118,000, which is an awesome thing. And maybe Sarah can touch on that a little bit better than I just did now.
You did a great job, Austin. What we're going to do is set the trust fund up and claim those $118,000 in the trust fund. Then when the bills/invoices come for the electric buses, instead of using county dollars for them, we are going to use these funds out of the trust fund for the capital projects.
So that being said, is a awesome thing. The state normally doesn't like when there becomes too much of a trust fund balance between different agencies and stuff. But we did not have one set up. So when we talked to them in our meeting last month, they encouraged this because of us not having one previously set up. So a little bit of legwork right now, but it really would be a good thing in the long run. Electric bus update. With no notice, the 60 kilowatt charger was delivered the other day. Thank you to the highway department for coming over with about 5 minutes notice and unloading it off the truck. And so this is the main big charger that will have the fast charge and can do a lunch break, quick charge to get us through a whole 10-hour shift. If we need it to, this is the main one that we were looking to get either way. And the 30 kilowatt charger that is tentatively to be shipped in the next 3 weeks, that would be an overnight only charger. And no new update on the electric bus timeline. For those of you who don't know, we are getting 2 fully electric buses. And this has been in the process for close to 4 years now, but we're nearing the ending stages of it. There are 2 cab over style minibuses, 14 passenger. So these are going to be non-CDL buses, which will be easier for staffing to run them. And with how our traffic is, on the Stout PM route, community route, and doorstop route. They will be able to be used for all three routes other than the Stout AM route. So pretty cool process to be at the final stages at. Staffing. We currently have an operations supervisor. We have 6 CDL drivers. We're losing one that we're doing a going away party for him today after work. Fully retiring, and then 3 dispatchers and 2 are drivers as well. So that helps with cross training. And May through August routes, we go from 5 after today down to 3. Around the shop, finishing the semester strong was the goal this spring. We had 0 missed daily routes. Whether we had to have somebody from the office fill in for an hour, anything like that, we had 0 missed daily routes, 0 accidents. And as far as I know, 0 complaints on the Stout route, but our meeting will be, I'll get into that here shortly with the Stout representatives. Around the buses, this month's focus was on-duty efficiency. Getting our software to clock in and clock out on driver on duty hours in equal lane. So for example, a driver comes in at 7 a.m. His first stop isn't till 8 o'clock. But if that bus clocks in at 7:02, how we are judged by the state on ridership versus hours worked is all based on that. So for example, if the Red Cedar driver clocks in at 10:30, does one route, and then goes and does everybody else's break, that driver is clocked in until 3:45. So before we even used the software for all of our routes, this was just estimated by, okay, it takes 20 minutes to get into the Stout PM route by getting to campus, stuff like that. The way we are setting this up is it'll be to the minute and extremely efficient after the legwork done. Right now, if the Red Cedar driver gets done early, the dispatcher has to go in and manually switch the times. Bus repairs, 314, we've had the compressors replaced on this last year, and there's been a couple leaks and it is not working again. And then 317, the one that got in the accident last November, I drove past Nuss Repair the other day and it wasn't outside, so it is getting worked on. And after about 7 months, it should be up and running again. On the route, this month's focus on that was the Red Cedar driver taking over for the doorstop lunch break at the UW library instead of that Red Cedar driver leaving the library from the Stout route, driving back to transit, and taking the doorstop bus and covering their lunch break. Now, the doorstop driver still takes its lunch break at transit. The Red Cedar driver already has a money pouch. The dispatcher routes all the rides during an hour to Red Cedar. They're already at the library downtown between Easttown, Northtown. It saves about 20 minutes of kind of dead weight time-wise. So that's really helped keep us on schedule when a busy day up until now used to be 20, 25 rides a day. We're hitting over 30, 35 between these two buses, close to every day. So that really helps in itself. Last day of the Stout route today, no Stout PM, and then meeting with Stout representatives to go over how the semester went, upcoming ideas, any complaints that came in, and just the upcoming outlook that comes next Thursday morning. Any questions?
Order door stop.
Yep.
How far out of town does that go? Clear on my place?
Does it go where?
We'll go clear on my place if I want to pay the $5 for a ride.
It depends on where your place is.
Really?
Oh, that might be a bit out, but I say this as much as we can. We have a few riders that are on outlying locations. For example, a guy goes to the neighbors to see his wife. He lives close to Irvington. We are an in-town bus service, but we do have rural capabilities. The only thing it cannot do is impede with in-town ridership. So as long as it's not heavy volume and these people know that they have to work with our schedule and ride when it's a little less high volume, we can go further out. We pick a lady up who's wheelchair bound that's close to Downsville. But around 10 to noon, we're pretty open. 1 to 2, we're pretty open. 2 to 3:30, we're not open. So it all depends on what the volume is of that day. Normally require a 2-hour notice. That really helps when people call and ask for a ride in 10 minutes. That gets tough. So the long-winded answer your question. O'Galley might be a bit far.
Any other questions for?
Questions, Rand? I got 2, 3 questions. You said you got a balance like from last year of a surplus. Do you have a vehicle, like a new vehicle account? I know like the fire department does, a township does. Could that money be rolled into, that account without? Because anytime that we have a surplus, there we always put it in a new vehicle account.
So we have two sides of budgets. Capital side, which sounds like it's what you're talking about as well,
Okay.
for upcoming purchases and stuff like that. And that's what this will be able to go into. And then our operating, which has to be that year for our day-to-day, month-to-month stuff.
Okay. Just 2 more questions, please. The electric bus, how does it pay for like you using the roads? Like we got gas tax for regular, like your vehicles and that, but that might be a problem in the future for like vehicles. Or has that already been addressed,
No, that is a good question.
Okay, and then the last one, Stout is a big part of your operation. Do you get paid by Stout or is it by the individual students when you pick them up from the north campus going down to the south campus?
Darren can add to this too if he'd like, but it's X amount per credit, per semester, or per student. And it's just a flat rate that is agreed upon the year before for a biannual or 2 times a year invoice that we send out to Stout, but it's the same.
So then Stout pays the individual. There's no money changing hands once the student gets on?
No,
Okay.
it's a free ride with their card.
Yeah. Hate to ask you dumb questions about
No.
the first couple of times.
No,
I tried to get her.
absolutely. Darren, anything you'd like to add to that?
Go ahead, Darren.
Yeah, I can't remember the per credit cost either, but I know the total amount for the year. It's funded through the Stout Student Government Alternative Transportation Fund, which is a per credit fee charged to students. Ends up being, I think it's 67,318, sounds like a number I remember. But actually that meeting coming up next week, that's starting the discussion point of the future budget years. And if Austin is predicting a request for a rate increase, to those student government members will start that process and hear out and what Austin has to say, and then that would move through their process.
That help you?
Yeah, thank you.
Other questions? Okay. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you, everyone.
No considerations, no resolutions. I guess we can adjourn. On to highway and Brian. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
We're missing, are we missing a member?
Call May 11th Highway Committee meeting to order. First, I gotta find, roll call shows everyone is present and welcome to the two new ones on the committee. Nice to see you. Approval of the minutes. Is there, I'm sure we all had a chance to read them. Is there any questions on the minutes? Motion's been made. Is there a second? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye of approving the minutes. Opposed? Carried. Public comment. I didn't hear of anything. Nothing. Items placed at the request of the chair, the Dunn County Vehicle Registration Fee. Well, that will be on the docket for the county board meeting. And the reason I wanted to put it on there, I wanted everyone on the committee familiar with it. There was some talk that there might have been an amendment added to it that night, but I don't think that's going to happen now. That was the main reason I wanted it to be brought up. Hopefully, Dustin, thank you for that email. I'm sorry I got in late last night, so I didn't get back. I did email you back. I don't know if you saw it or not, but did you send all this?
Yeah, I sent everybody that
Did you? Okay.
packet that I sent you.
Okay.
So you should have got that yesterday. I did include that in the packet here as well. Just basically, we put together, this was done before my time. Basically just frequently asked questions regarding the vehicle registration fee. Basically what it can be utilized for is the biggest thing. Any transportation needs is basically what it's utilized for per Wisconsin state statutes. So anything within the road right away, maintenance, construction costs, anything like that is what it can be utilized for.
But no capital, right? No trucks. You can't buy trucks or.
As far as as from what I read in there, no, it's basically just for transportation purposes on the roadway. So I did show in that one packet, this particular spreadsheet. I believe it's towards the back of your packet. So it just basically, we started the transportation vehicle registration fee in 2020 per the county's request. In 2020, we generated $516,000 roughly. That was in 2020 due to, I believe, during the implementation, it takes, I believe, 90 days from DMV to process it. So that's why it was a little bit less than what the average was. But there is roughly 36,000 vehicles in Dunn County that are that fall into this vehicle registration fee for Dunn County. So in 2021, it accounted for approximately 737,000. And in 2022, thus far, we're up to 239. So from the beginning of when this was implemented, approximately just under $1.5 million has come to the highway transportation fund. So I guess the big question is, what has this been utilized in the past? What has it been utilized for? Basically, it goes into the highways general transportation fund. I guess it hasn't been allocated to a specific cost center or anything like that. It could be utilized for if we have winter maintenance needs, obviously salt increases, we may utilize that for chemicals that we have to purchase. It can be used for any type of maintenance, pothole patching, crack filling, seal coating. So like I said, it hasn't been specifically spelled out that it's for a specific entity on the transportation side of things. Obviously, I just wanted to present that to you. We're not the only ones in the state of Wisconsin that have this vehicle registration fee. There is quite a few other counties Ours in Dunn County is $20 per vehicle. There is others that do $30, $50 in other counties as well, in municipalities. So yearly, it generates approximately that $730,000 is what the general wheel tax accounts for. I just want you to be aware, it sounds like a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, to do a general pulverize and repave of a roadway 24 feet wide, 3 inches thick, costs about $200,000 to do that with today's asphalt costs. So 700,000 basically generates approximately 3 more miles of roadway that we can do. The unfortunate thing is, like I said, we have 425 miles of roadway in Dunn County. So an additional 3 miles really doesn't do a lot, but it does help. Like I said, it does help offset some overages that we can't account for some years just with our winter plowing. We try to reduce that as much as possible, but obviously Mother Nature throws a wrinkle into the system yearly. So we basically take a 5-year average of what it costs, and that's what we kind of budget for when it comes to that. So basically, any vehicle that's 8,000 pounds or less is what's falls under that vehicle registration category. So basically, it's passenger vehicles. So that's where the majority of the numbers come from.
So I thank you for that, Dustin. There's a supervisor, Kadir, which is fine. He thought about introducing an amendment on the 18th. And I kind of talked to him, and then I think Kelly talked to him too. What he wants is this explained each year, and he wanted it put on there so it will be done. Well, and like I suggested, you could do that at your annual highway.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. I
Yeah.
really do. Just let everybody know
Right.
how much money's coming in and where's it going.
Right.
So-
So if it'd be all right on the 18th too, if you hopefully you plan on being there, I would ask Kelly to let you speak on it too.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows what's up. And the reason, one other thing, and maybe everybody knows this, the reason that 2020 wasn't up to the 700 and some is because it wasn't implemented in the first few months.
Correct. Yeah, and then it also took, I believe it was 90 days before it actually takes effect.
Right. So, and this would take effect if it passes Jan 1 of 23, correct? The new one, if the new
Correct.
resolution, right? Okay.
Yep.
And also, I don't know if everyone has read it on your agenda, the sunset clause has been, we offered it as stricken out. So it doesn't have to be brought up every 2 years. And it can be brought up at any time. Let's say we have the fund balance grows, okay, don't need it, we can bring it up and drop it if we so please, so.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, putting an annual report together is
Yeah, that'd be great.
something that should be discussed.
Oh, I agree, he was right, but I didn't know if it needed to actually be an amendment on it, and Kelly didn't think so either, he thought it would
Correct.
muddy the waters, so, so.
I
Anyway.
know, like you might talk to Nick at the PRD committee, and he said he's not gonna bring it up.
Oh, he isn't, no.
Amendment, so he's not,
Okay,
I don't know if he thought about it more or whatever, but.
yeah,
he's not really bringing it up.
okay. All right, anybody got any other questions on that? Okay, thanks, Dustin, appreciate it, just what we
Yep.
needed, so. Okay, staff reports.
Well, I'll just go through basically our everyday operations that we're currently doing at the highway department. Obviously, spring is officially here. Well, I don't know if it's spring or just goes right into summer. But we are continuing, obviously, every day. We're filling potholes, spray patching. We did start crack filling some of our roadways. We are looking at starting the process of getting the roads that we are seal coating this summer, crack filled first. So we've done that. We've actually started putting in some culverts, and cleaning ditches that need some work over the winter months. And we're looking at starting our crushing operations at our Finder Quarry. We actually blasted this winter, and we're looking at crushing approximately 50,000 tons of material, of lime rock materials, to be utilized for shouldering, any type of road-based projects that we needed the materials for. So that has started. We recently completed, all highway staff members recently completed the mine safety training that we have to do annually, which is controlled by Wcha, the mine safety organization. Just to give an annual refresher, this year we did something a little bit different. We actually had County Mutual. County Mutual is the county's insurance company. Put this on via a Zoom meeting. It basically was. It was recordings that we watched with videos. Understandably, it's a very dry type of thing to sit and watch a computer all day long. But it's needed, and it's a good learning tool. So we did start that and finish that up. Obviously, we did remove the seasonal weight restrictions on May 2nd. I know that was probably a good thing for a lot of individuals. Everybody was antsy and wanted to get out. So we removed those on May 2nd, and everybody started getting out on the roadways.
I have one question on that, Dustin. I had a gentleman call me, he's very upset. He was traveling down County F, south of Prairie Farm, and he hit the Dunn County line and wasn't long, and State Patrol pulled him over. He was driving a payloader empty with a bucket. They weighed him. He got $550 fine. He was going to a field there to load lime.
Yep.
He wants to know where that money goes. Does it go to the county, or does it go to the state or the township? He was mad.
Honestly, I have no idea. It doesn't come to the county.
It does not.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, if the county's got to build the road, why should the state get it?
I agree. It makes sense.
Seems like I've heard that the county gets a percentage.
It might be a percentage, but it,
Like State Patrol would stop a car on 94, that we get part of it back.
They do.
I thought I've heard that before.
Okay.
I'm sure it's not 100%.
Well, this guy was quite upset, and he says, "What can I can't even farm?" He said. Well, I said, "Well, whatever." Yeah.
unfortunately, even agricultural equipment is not exempt. So I know there was a few instances, individuals, I think I heard of a story of an individual running a loader on County Road J, just north of town, and he got fined.
He did too.
It's kind of a fine line. We always get phone calls is, why can your equipment go on that road, but ours can't? We try to obviously stay off these roads as well. Obviously, if we have to plow snow, we have to plow snow on a weight restricted road. But there is times where we do our shouldering and stuff like that, reclaiming, and with our graders, we have to get out there as soon as possible.
Yeah, he said that was happening at the same time. Goes by him as the state patrol. But
yeah, I guess I would say that our municipal vehicles are exempt from it, but
and they probably weren't loaded full.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And we are not the police officers. We don't sit there and target people. And I was blatantly surprised the state patrol was out this year in a lot of areas. I know they were down in O'Galley. The big sapping season down there. I got phone calls down there too. So it's everywhere in Dunn County, not just up north or anything like that. But
Well, no doubt.
but yeah, it's a touchy subject every year. A lot of phone calls. I did probably give, I would probably say about 10 exemptions this year for emergency purposes with the whole bird flu thing that was happening. They needed to get trucks in and out, and I was accommodating to that. And unfortunately, some of the roads that they wanted to get on were the ones we're reconstructing this summer. So it's not like it was gonna hurt anything, but so that's, like I said, something we discuss every year, and it's a problematic thing. But we have to protect our roads as much as possible.
Oh, I agree. I just thought he
Yep.
wanted me to bring it up at the next meeting. He went through the list to see who was on and he knew my name, so he called me. Said, okay, I'll bring it up.
Yep.
So,
And then just some interior shop work. Obviously, it's never ending. It's just routine maintenance of all of our equipment. We did start removing all of the plow equipment off of our graders and plow trucks, sanders, all the brine tank equipment. We've removed all that. Obviously, once we start getting in summer equipment started up and ready to rock, it breaks down. So we're fixing that continuously and making some adjustments that we can try to improve on. That's basically our everyday operations that is occurring at Highway. Some of the project updates, our County Road Q project that we are locally doing ourselves in-house, just north of 170 and south of County Road N by Downing. We did start that last week, actually. We did break ground on that project. We are actually done with all the widening culvert replacement. We're just looking at adding base yet, but we're holding off until we can get the pulverizer scheduled so we don't have to worry about dust control. So that's a 1.25 mile stretch road that we're looking good on right now on how that started. We did actually move up to County Road V between Sand Creek and Ridgeland. That is another local project that we are doing, 3 mile stretch road there. We actually started that this Monday. Start putting in culverts, which is unbelievable, but there isn't a lot of culverts up on that stretch road, 12 mile stretch. And in the 3 miles, I think there's one culvert in 3 miles. It's pretty flat sand country, and so that makes our life easier if we don't have to replace a lot of culverts. So that is looking at coming along pretty nicely. There's not a lot of work on that stretch of highway. We're just going to be doing a little bit of widening, some ditching up there. And I've scheduled Haas Sons to haul the base materials for that. I don't know if you recall, but it was right around that $10 a ton for them to haul it to us. And we can't do that for that cost. So looking at trying to get that set up here in the next 2 weeks to start getting base put on. So we're looking pretty good. Once that happens, we'll be looking at paving those 2 roads probably here, I would say maybe the end of June when we get things going here. The County Road B project, I don't know if those of you that probably not familiar, our County Road B project that is happening next year from 1229, the 4 lanes of County Road B from 1229 all the way to Packer Drive, which is up by Anderson Windows. That's taking place next year. The total reconstruct, so basically all curb and gutter is going to get replaced, all light, traffic control signals, all asphalt, culverts, storm sewer will all be redone. And the biggest thing is it's going to get turned into concrete, from asphalt to concrete, just based on the heavy truck equipment, truck volumes that are on that roadway. There is a coordination obviously with the railroad regarding that project. So the traffic signals that are going to be installed at Badger Drive and County Road B by Love's gas station there. There will be traffic signals put up there. It has to coordinate with the railroad. And actually, I didn't put that in here. This just came up, but there is a legal trial per se that goes on with the railroad and the DOT, Dunn County, and that's going to be taking place here in late May, that we will be representing on behalf of Dunn County. It's basically just a standard procedure that is completed by the railroad and the entities involved with the project. Just basically is a recorded trial that basically states who's doing what and who's paying for what. Right now, the railroad is in agreement that they would pay 90% of the railroad upgrade, and Dunn County and the state would be on the other 10%. So that's basically a good thing for Dunn County. So the railroad has to pay for that. So that's kind of just our update on the County Road B project. The real estate is taking place on that. There is some little small parcels that we need to build the roadway just for the drainage structures. So it'll be little easements that we need for that. So that process has started. The County Road Z project from C to C that we are doing internally as well. That is in the preliminary stages. I'm working with the Army Corps of Engineers regarding some of the drainage and wetlands down there. I did get the DNR approval on the project, just waiting for Army Corps to sign off on it as well. There is quite a few culverts and drainage structures down on that stretch of highway, so we are currently reviewing that and making some purchases for the culverts down on that highway. Anticipating probably mid-June, when we would be starting that project with local forces. And that's approximately just under 4 miles. I think it's 3.8 miles that we'd be looking at doing there. I didn't put on here as well, but the County Road H project, that is an STP rural project. That is an 80-20 project that 80% of it is paid for by the state and 20% by local funds. That was the project that kind of got delayed. It was supposed to be let through the DOT's program. That was supposed to be in February, got delayed because of a utility issue regarding signing off on their utility easements. So we had to go through the condemnation process on that. That has been fulfilled. All the documents were submitted and approved, and yesterday was the let date for that project. I have not seen the actual bids come in for that yet, but that is all controlled by the DOT. So I'm waiting for the DOT to basically release that to see what costs came in at and when that project's going to start, or if at all, depending on what the costs come in at. So but that is up to the DOT. That's the project updates that I have. Some of the bridge project updates. So we have 2 bridges that are going to be replaced this year on a local level. One on County Road K in Connorsville. That is actually taking place this week, Thursday. They're actually going to start removing the old structure, which is a 50-day contract to get the old bridge out and the new one in. So that's going to be a little bit of an inconvenience for the individuals that utilize County Road K north of 64. I know a lot of people go up to Turtle Lake that way, but they'll have to utilize the detour, which is a 13-mile detour is what I was told. Wow. Utilizing St. Croix, Polk, and Barron County roads. County Road A, I believe it is, and County Road P. Yep, so that's the detour. Like I said, it'll be 50 working days to get that project complete. So that structure is a 2-span timber steel structure, which is going to be a 1-span concrete structure. So it'll be a very nice structure when it's done, and hopefully I will never have to see that get replaced in my lifetime ever again. So the other project is on County Road Q, just north of Knapp. It would be the third bridge north of Highway 12 that is getting replaced. It's a small 2-span. Looks like a little box culvert. You probably, if you drive over it, you'd probably miss it. Don't even realize it's there. But that is actually getting replaced this summer as well. I have not heard a date on that yet. Ratke Contractors is the one that's performing that work. From what I was told by the engineering firm, it's probably like late June is when they're anticipating the start date on that. But that will be, I believe that's a 30-day working work schedule on that one. So that's what I have for the bridge project updates. Any questions before we go into the financials? So the Highway 25 project from basically Downsville north out of the city it's a mill and fill. So they're going to be milling, I believe, 2 inches off and then replacing it with 3 inches of asphalt. They are creating a turn lane at the intersection. Is it 370th Avenue and 25? A turn lane there for it's where the trailer park and stuff is down there. All the drainage structures, not all the drainage structures, but some of the drainage structures are getting replaced. From what they tell me, it's pretty much going to be in most of the summer project, but we unfortunately don't have any authority over that. It's the state, but people think we do.
So next year, you're gonna do the B project out here, correct?
So that's
From 12 past the railroad tracks.
yep, basically for where
You
Anderson.
guys just keep going.
So
I was on it yesterday. It was like, it's getting wrong.
so the portion of B north of Packer Drive or north of Anderson windows to double B. I have that in a state program that will provide funding, a portion of the funding. I've estimated that to be approximately $1 million to just do a pulverize and repave on that stretch. We've currently have approximately 400,000 that the DOT has earmarked for that.
I didn't know distract you.
No, I want it replaced too, because we do get a lot of phone calls on that.
I bet you do, because it's pretty, I had to run to Bloomer yesterday in the afternoon, and it was constant traffic both directions, but coming and going.
Yep.
So,
Ideally, it should probably almost be 4 lanes going up there for how much traffic it is, but it's one thing that just, the funding's not there to do that. So if we can make a smooth road, that's the intent. And I'm looking at probably doing that after that, the major project, the railroad track south, basically, so.
my last comment is, I actually had to slow down a bit because I have a pickup, okay, and it's clipping along at 55, 60, like allowable.
Yep.
And it hopped around a couple times.
Yeah, it always seems like the back end.
Yeah, that's kind of the scary thing.
My recommendation is to straddle the wheel paths. If you can hug the shoulder,
Yep.
it's a little bit smoother.
Yep, it is, yeah.
I've noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
But our intent is to get that
It's on the
fixed.
list?
It's on the list.
Awesome.
We'll get to that on later in any other questions? Okay, I guess we'll go into the financials. So this is through April. And I believe Sarah and Beata here too. So obviously from what we see, the revenue on the first page is approximately 1.7 million is what we have. That has been brought in, and then we've expensed approximately 2.8, so we're about $1 million in the red right now.
Which one are you on here, Dustin?
I'm on that first page, sorry.
Yeah, the little guy.
I'm just looking at the summary.
I figured that's what it was, but
Have you ever thought about, I know like another committee, we have everything up on the screen there. So I mean, it's nice having this here.
Yep.
But sometimes it's hard to find which one you were exactly are on.
My intent is to basically, when I get settled down a little bit, to try to do kind of like what Austin does with a PowerPoint presentation. That's my intent, to have everything up on the screen, but I got to get to that point. So,
make sure we get an agenda and then your staff report though.
Yep.
Hard copy. I like that.
Yep, no, that, so like I said, we're right now about $1 million deficit, but mind you, our invoicing and bills have not come in yet. We're probably a month or two behind yet on some of our revenue sources with the state. I don't know if Sarah has anything to add to that or not.
I don't have anything to add, Dustin. I think you covered that very well. Usually, once the month is complete, we will do the billings. They go out to the state. Takes about 3 weeks or so to get that back. So that's the lag in the revenue recognition on the forms.
This is Beata. I would also like to add that in the past few months, well, since I want to say early February, we've been looking at our existing processes and looking for opportunities for improvement. And one of the items that we did look into is our timeliness into billing the state, so we can minimize the delay in the cash flow that's coming in to us. And we did re-engineer our reconciliation method to make sure that we account for every single bill that's due to us. So we have a state system called CAMS, which is independent from our system, SAP. They don't really talk to each other. So we've have a reconciliation process where we would reconcile to make sure that what's entered in CAMS is indeed receipted as a receivables in our financial system. And then we watch the aging as far as when the payments come to the door. So it's a process from A to Z. So that's something that we've, one of the process improvements that we had done. And also the other item we did too is our financial review. So not only does Dustin have this opportunity to review this with you on a monthly basis, but Dustin, myself, and Sarah, we also meet regularly, at least monthly, to review the financials in a very great detail, and then look at projections where we might be. So because we only have 4 months in, as we get closer to the middle of the year, if there is any areas of concern, let's just assume for the sake of this conversation that we, projecting our revenue to be lower, our expenses to be higher because of the costs going up, those will be brought forward to you as an awareness where we are at. Because, some of the expenses as they're kind of going up is beyond our control. So of course, like Dustin alluded earlier, the cost of concrete, for example, has skyrocketed. So as we did the budget back in 2021 for 2022, those were based on estimates. I just want to share that. Thank you very much.
And I guess I'd like to add to, in the financials, so obviously every quarter, the DOT reviews our equipment rates. Obviously with the increased fuel costs, they are looking at adjusting our equipment rates, to reflect that. So that's something we're waiting for, going forward here to see what our increase is gonna be. So that's what we basically across the board for county, towns, and any type of state work, we're set based on the DOT rate. So that will be adjusted as well, so. Any questions regarding the financials? They're hard to decipher sometimes, so.
And this is Beata again. And again, we always welcome your feedback. So if there's any other metrics or any that you would like to see reported on the financials, please let us know. They can be very dry, but we can make them fun.
Well, that's good. This is nice, though. I like this printout.
Well, if we don't have any questions with the financials, I guess I'll keep going on. The Potter Cemetery, I don't know if any, not all of you are probably familiar with what's going on there, but the highway department houses a cemetery on its property that is called Potter Cemetery. We have a group of individuals that oversee the cemetery, do the mowing operations, any type of maintenance, upkeep. They've done a very good job. It was a neglected cemetery for many, many years. They have taken it over and they've outstanding job. They requested that they had 24-hour basically access to the cemetery. So this has been an ongoing situation here for, I bet you 10 years now, trying to get a request to have 24-hour access to the general public. Obviously, our facility is not open 24 hours a day, so the group proposed about the possibility of adding a fence and entrance in along our property to have that access. So we did this year proceed with installing a fence. The group has raised more than $25,000 to help offset the cost with this fence need. The fence was actually installed 2 weeks ago. HS Fence Company out of Fall Creek installed it. We were waiting for the gates to be installed and the barbed wire along the security fence, and that was actually put in last week. So everything's done, the road's in. I am having a meeting with the group this week to discuss the entrance coming off of our property onto the town road. So obviously they only have so much money, and looking at what they want to do next to try to see what's going to happen there. So I am having a discussion with that, and right now we have approximately $30,000 into the fence and the roadway that got put in. And I know the group is willing to pay 100% of it when they get the funds. So like I said, they have just over 25,000 currently allocated to it. So we are working with them to get that done. They are excited, ecstatic that it's done, complete right before Memorial Day, so they can have their Memorial Day recognition at the cemetery without having highway staff be present and allow them to come in after hours. So it's been a nice thing, and HS Fence did a good job on putting the fence in.
That looks nice.
Yep. And like I said, we got to do a little few adjustments there on the old rest area. That's right by our highway shop. So we've got some stumps and stuff to remove there yet. Just waiting for us to have time to do it and dry out a little bit before we start tearing everything up in there. So
Is that Potter, no, cemetery, is that straight north of the old rest area?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, that's on the northeast corner of our highway property, northeast corner.
And before, the only way to get to it, they had to go through the yard of the
Yeah.
highway shop, so.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of groups that are interested in obviously a historical teaching, like Girl Scout, Boy Scout troops.
How many graves are there? Any idea?
So the group actually is going to present that information. They actually had UW Madison do ground penetrating radar to find all the grave sites. They are doing a lot of historical documentation to find out who's there, where, what plot is theirs. Like I said, they've done a fantastic job. They are actually going to be having a open house meeting, just a historical presentation, which is actually going to be presented at Wakanda Park. I believe it's at the end of May here. That I've been invited to, and I can send the invite to all of you too as well. So that information will be presented at that time. 'Cause right now it's basically makeshift old metal signposts that were made into crosses that the highway department did years ago, and wherever we thought there was a grave, that's where they put them. So there is some headstones out there, some that are buried under the ground. And so like I said, it was a very neglected cemetery that the group has done a wonderful job on. And then I guess I just wanted to mention too, we started some herbicide spraying of our county roadways. This is so we can battle the invasive species, wild parsnip, wild chervil. I know some of you are familiar with that probably. We did this last year, did it countywide, just on the county roadways. Worked great. We had we put a growth inhibitor in it as well, so we don't get have to mow it as much, and it's not 5 feet tall by July. So it's worked great. We did do an application. We started that actually yesterday. Not yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. I think Monday it was just too windy and stuff to do it. So we have 2 trucks that go around and do the entire county. It takes approximately 2 weeks, weather permitting, to complete the entire county. There is some towns that are getting on board with doing this as well, to try to help battle that. The chemicals that we utilize are not restricted. They do not harm the milkweed for butterflies. I know that was a big concern. We do have people that contact us with that concern. But I did make that known. I did post it out on our website, and I did post it out on Facebook, just to let everybody know what we're doing. I know not everybody sees that, and so spread the word. Anybody asks, that's basically what we're doing. The biggest issue we do fall into is the organic farming. We spray this at 20 feet from the shoulder, basically almost the entire road right away. So that is an issue potentially with organic farming. So I guess I felt if an organic farmer kind of just requests that we don't spray, that's something we can look at. Otherwise, we've also basically stated that they are required to put the buffer on their property, and not the right of way being the buffer. So That's the biggest issue we've had with it is basically the concerns with the milkweed as well as the organic farming is the big thing. That we're trying to get the state to try to get on board with it as well. We can battle the invasives all we want, but it seems like if we don't do the state system as well, it's just going to keep spreading. It's a battle I think we're always going to have, but we're not only doing that, but we're trying to limit that growth and the cost to mow it constantly in our road right away. So any questions regarding the herbicide spraying? If not, we'll get into the 2023 highway budget. And I know Beata's here as well as Sarah. So countywide, we kicked off the 2023 budget on May 6th. So all departments are looking at the budget for 23. Unfortunately, I have not looked at it. Haven't had a whole lot of time to look at it per se quite yet, but looking at something, I'm going to start putting together some numbers. I do have some numbers tentatively scheduled. What our big needs are, obviously, is our road construction funding as well as our maintenance costs. That's basically a lot of what the highway department is all about. I did put in your packet, if you notice this sheet in there. The sheet that was in there was actually incorrect that I noticed, but on the very back side there, it's the same sheet. I just had the revenue numbers incorrect. But if you notice the 2023 construction, so these are the projects that we have set for next year. We're going to continue that County Road V project, that 12-mile stretch between Sand Creek and Ridgeland. We have approximately 2.11 miles to finish that project out. That has no DOT funding. I've put together an estimated cost to complete that at roughly $685,000 to finish that project out. And then we're also looking at continuing the County Road Z project down by south of Downsville towards O'Galley, doing a 3-mile stretch of roadway there. That's an estimated cost of just over $1 million to do 3 miles worth of road. We do have DOT LRIP funding, which is a local road improvement program. We have approximately $200,000 allocated to that project. So the county's portion would be right around that $850,000 that we would have to pay for that project. And then obviously the big projects there, the 2 projects on County Road B. From 1229 to I-94 is a project, and then from I-94 to Packer Drive is a project. So those projects are actually separated due to the funding sources. That County Road B from 1229 I-94, that project is up to $6.3 million is what they're anticipating right now based on the engineering estimate. The state pays 80% of it, and the local county portion would be right around that $1.2 million that we would have to pay for that project. The other portion of County Road B from I-94 to Packer Drive, that estimated cost right now is $2.4 million. The DOT has allocated $1 million to that project, which leaves us approximately almost $1.5 million that we would have to pay with local share. So that's a lot of money right there. So that obviously has retracted our length of roadways that we typically do. We do approximately 10 to 12 miles of roads each year. Next year, we'd be looking at only doing approximately 7. Obviously with the sheer cost of County Road B. We do have some engineering costs in there as well. The County Road D project, which is an 80-20 match from basically Irvington to County Road K, going up the Irvington Hill is what we call it. The engineering has started on that, which is anticipated for construction in 2025. So we do have to allocate funding for the engineering services on that. And we do have a bridge on County Road C in Muddy Creek. The engineering has started on that as well, and that's an 80-20 match for that project. So if you notice, the $4.3 million is what I have anticipated for our construction expenditures, which is approximately pretty close to what we've expensed for 2022. It was right around that $4.3 million this year as well. We do have the maintenance budget, so that I've broke down basically what we put towards each maintenance item. So we have signing for $100,000, pavement markings $150,000, crack filling, so on and so forth. If you look at the entire maintenance budget, it allocates to about $4.1 million worth of expense. That includes our winter maintenance, and I took the 3-year winter maintenance costs, and it comes out to right around that $1.2 million. What it's been costing us to plow roads every year. We actually just got the price yesterday for salt through the DOT contract, and it's $88 a ton, which is up $10 a ton from this year. So everything keeps going up and up. I just wanted to point out too the budgeted revenue, and based on the 2022. These are our big ticket revenue sources. Obviously, we have levy of 3.7 million. In 2022, we have $3.2 million worth of ARPA funds, which is the federal COVID money. And then there was $1.9 million worth of borrowed debt. And then we do get general transportation aid, which is basically the gas tax. We get 1.6 million, and then the vehicle registration fee of approximately $730,000. The issue that I foresee forthcoming at highway is if you remove the 2 red items there with ARPA and debt, it's not sustainable. The highway department it's not looking good. I can tell you that. Based on revenue source. Like I said, I don't want to sugarcoat it, but the amount of expenditures versus our revenue it's not sustainable. Something needs to be addressed and looked at, I guess, going forward.
Suggestions?
I'm gonna leave that to powers above for suggestions. Yep.
Sure. And next year it won't be there.
And that's borrowing 1.9 million.
Yep.
And that's only to balance the budget, those things.
That's just to balance the budget based on our expenditures that we had put forth in 2022.
And that doesn't include any new equipment for 23?
Nope. Well, in 23, we've requested the capital improvements.
Yeah. So there's only, if we don't find other revenue sources, there's only one thing you can do. Don't pave.
It's cut.
You have to cut.
And right now, like I said, we traditionally pave about 10 miles per year. And we have 425 miles of roads. So that's 42 and a half year lifespan on a road that only lasts 20. We're having a hard time getting roads to last 20 years. The asphalt materials just aren't like they used to be. The oil's not like it used to be. Unfortunately, concrete's not like it used to be. Maintenance costs, construction costs, everything goes up year after year after year. And I guess I do want to point out, that levy, 3.7 million is a reduction from what we used to have 3 years ago. Our levy was approximately 5 million. The highway department, basically, we were utilizing fund balance to offset our budget. The fund balance is not there anymore. So basically, something's got to be done. Like I said, otherwise we can only cut so much. It's a difficult situation, especially when we're putting a vehicle registration fee in that just to offset our budget.
If it passes.
Correct.
That doesn't pass, you minus another 2-3 miles of road.
It- Well, it's not out of the works, but something's gonna have to be addressed and looked at, I guess, going forward. And I think that needs to be looked at county-wide, maybe not just highway in general, so.
Didn't they just repave part of B from 1229 up to 94? Seems like that was just like repaved or paved over, not long ago.
So 3 years ago, we put a Band-Aid on it. So we milled 1.5 inches of that roadway off and repaved it. At that time, it was about just under $300,000 to do that. This was before we knew we were gonna get funding for it. So we had no idea we were gonna get funding from the DOT. So we did that, and literally the DOT gave us the funding that same year, but it was like 3 months after we did it.
I drive that road a lot, it don't seem that bad, no, compared to what it was.
Yeah, and they've done an analysis. Basically, the engineering firm has done a long-term analysis on repaving it at the proper thickness for truck traffic or putting in 10 inches of concrete. And based on that analysis, the long-term cost savings would be to put concrete in. So like I said, what we did out there 3 years ago was just to put 1.5 inch Band-Aid on it. If we get 10 years out of it, that we'd be lucky.
So how long does that funding last, that 80/20 for that road? I mean, do we have to use it or?
So-
Postpone that project?
So that sunsets actually in 24. So we have to use it next year or we lose it.
It's $5 million, so
Mhm.
just for that stretch.
That road was
Bad.
bad, I mean, you couldn't.
Yeah.
You couldn't do anything.
Well, what could you do? You
I
know,
mean, that was ripping apart.
Wha-
That was the plan, was to patch it and then get this funding.
And when we have our spray patch trucks go out, I don't know if you're familiar with that, they spray the oil in the rock. It costs about $1,700 to $1,800 a day to operate that truck. We could been out there 3 months on just that 1 mile stretch of road. And we looked at it as, let's put this 1.5 inch overlay or mill and overlay. It was actually cost savings to do that versus being out there spray patching constantly.
Because if you look past that, where they do that, I mean, it's constant. You're doing that. And
Correct.
that Doesn't last very, I mean, it's better this year, but I mean. it's been bad.
It will not last through the winter most of the times. It'll get us through the summer and then winter comes and we're doing it again. So. But I just wanted to make that known. Like I said, we can only cut so much year after year after year. It's getting to the process where it's like costs have exponentially gone up. In that, I don't like to call it a wheel tax, but that's always what comes in my vehicle registration fee. But if you look on the DMV's registration, it's called wheel tax.
Is that right?
Yes.
I did not
So,
know that.
I went and got a
got a license plate renewed, and she was going through the fees with me, set it right on there.
It did, really.
But I was looking back at 2005, and it's in that frequently asked questions. In 2005, we had a $12 million operating budget. And that was at a cost of $23 a ton for asphalt. And this year we're at 14 million and we're at $55 a ton. It's 132% increase. We've actually stayed stagnant with our budget. So I just want you to be aware of that. I need your guys' support. I need the county's support that we need to do something to try to generate some revenue source at highway. We have a lot of money sitting out there on our roadways. We have a lot of money in our equipment. It's a mandated service we have to do.
Well, I'd always like to put it on the gas tax, but right now with gas going up like that, people aren't gonna fall for that at all.
Well, and you see, we get almost 1.7 million of gas tax, which it helps, yes.
Oh, I know, but yeah,
It's not enough, and I don't know if that'll ever get addressed.
for a while.
Hasn't been adjusted since what, 2006, I think was the last time it's been adjusted. But yeah, the big thing is, like I said, we kicked off the 2023 budget, and we'll look at putting numbers together and see what we're gonna do to try to come up with the revenue to do it. So either that or we're gonna have to cut. So.
Okay.
Other than that, that's all I had on my staff report.
You've got Highway Committee Board of Directors for WCHA. Am I reading that wrong? That was last month. Sorry, I got the wrong one.
Last month.
Now I got it.
But
Okay, here we go.
that brings just a reminder for those. So June 6th is the Wisconsin County Highway Association meeting at Chula Vista in Wisconsin Dells. So that's the spring meeting that they host every year. So I'm attending, and have our engineer, who's going to be starting actually next week, attending when he can, and then our operations manager is going to be also attending that conference as well. So it is a very good conference the Wisconsin County Highway Association puts on, and a lot of DOT personnel come. Craig Thompson, the Secretary of Transportation, will be there. A lot of vendors that try to sell you a lot of equipment will be there. So
I've been there once. It's excellent if you can go. It
you're
really
all
is.
welcome to attend.
They got 2 times a year, correct? One's in
One in the spring
January?
and one in the fall.
I'll try to go in January, but it's not gonna happen this June for me, but Gary, you going?
Yeah, right.
But it is good. It's a good conference, so, yeah. And it is, I do have the right agenda. It is on there. Item G.
Yes, I skipped it.
That's,
But I guess I did skip that. That's another topic, that Wisconsin County Highway Committee Board of Directors. So there is an open position for that. So basically, any highway committee member can be part of the Wisconsin County Highway Association Board of Directors. So the position is actually vacant. It was an individual, the highway chair for St. Croix County was on the board of directors. He actually did not get reelected. So that position is vacant. So if any of you are interested and want to become part of the Wisconsin County Highway Association Board of Directors, it's all you.
nope, no, not this chairman.
It takes some time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of people's time. So I just wanted to make that known, and I apologize. I actually skipped over that.
No,
So
That's fine, that's fine.
and if you are interested, let me know. There is a voting proxy that can be done as well. So that'll be actually at this June 6th conference that'll take place.
So how many counties does it cover?
So
This area?
yeah, it's basically the West Central,
West
so
Central, okay.
West Central region.
Okay. So are there any questions on Dustin's report or anybody have anything? If not, we'll move into the vouchers. I hope you all had a chance to review them. Are there any questions on them? And hearing none, is there a motion to approve? Motion's made in second to approve the vouchers. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, carried. Okay, material and service bids. Pavement markings first.
I know we had quite a few of them on there last month, so I did add a few this month. So we did have the request for bids for pavement markings for Dunn County. We did have 2 bids, Farner Asphalt and Sir Lines a Lot. Based on the cost, my recommendation is to proceed with Farner Asphalt. They have actually completed our pavement markings the last 2 years. Haven't had any issues with them. They're local, they're in our backyard, so it's nice to have that. So that's my recommendation to proceed with Farner Asphalt. And what we typically do is that waterborne paint, which is just a hot latex paint that goes down. The costs of pavement markings this year is approximately 2 cents per foot more than it was last year. So it's right around 4 cents. Now it's 6 cents. It's the battle of what we got to do.
Other
Yeah. Yep. So and that's the issue with the pavement markings is it's basically glass beads is what they put in the paint. So that's what makes the reflectivity. Obviously it's higher than the asphalt surface. So when our plows come, we scrape it off. So it's good, usually good for about a year or 2, and then we got to repaint it. Typically what I've tried to do is we've tried to paint half the county every year. But obviously due to the funding, it's getting retracted. So we might be doing a little less than half than what we normally do. So.
Someone have any?
I move we go with Farner Asphalt for the pavement marking.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and second. Any other questions on it? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, pulverizing.
So we requested proposals for our pulverizing for the 2022 season. We received 5 proposals from A1 Excavating, Haas Sons, Tri-County Paving, All States, and WK. Based on my recommendation, and actually this is the first I've dealt with them, would be Haas. They actually purchased a pulverizer last year, so they don't have to rely on other contractors. They've done a lot of work for themselves, and they are starting to get into the municipal world. So it's going to be kind of a learning curve for them as well as a learning curve for us. But based on their cost of $4,500 per mile, which is almost identical to last year. Last year, All States did it for us, and they've done a good job as well. But that would be my recommendation, is to go with Haas Sons for our pulverizing work for the 2022 season.
What's this adding base stabilizer mean?
So that's an option to, in the past, we've used, it's called Base 1. It's a stabilizer. It's a liquid stabilizer that you inject into the roadway as you're pulverizing it. It's supposed to help compaction numbers and help solidify the road. Based on the cost of the materials skyrocketing this year, I'm not looking at doing that. but I am looking at the possibility of injecting water as we're pulverizing it. That will actually get you very good compaction numbers as well. So Haas actually has the same price either way, so we would just have to supply the trucks and the water and hook up to their pulverizer and away we go. So I am looking at that as an option, that option 2 with Haas, so.
Okay, what's your pleasure, gentlemen?
I make a motion to move the Haas.
Motion made. Is there a second? Motion made second to go with Haas and Sons for the pulverizing. Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, highway roof replacement.
So obviously, we've had an issue with our highway roof at the highway at the Menominee location. This has been a request to replace the roof. We actually have water leaking in at times in our main shop. It's been on a list of items to try to do the last 2 years and has been actually removed from the budget due to the cost. So I've looked at trying to redo the roof this year. Obviously, it was not budgeted in 2022. So I am working with Nick and Beata and Sarah to see what type of funding source we can try to utilize to replace the roof this year. I did request it in the CIP request for 2023 as well. So I did submit the proposals to see what the cost would be for the roof repair, replacement, I should say, not repair. We got very good numbers based on our estimated cost that was completed on the judicial roof last year. We estimated the highway roof to be about $350,000, and the cost came in at obviously right around that 179 for the low bid. Northwest Roofing is actually the contractor that did the judicial roof last year. Like I said, I've been working with Beata and Sarah and Nick, as well as Scott Nabafeld from facilities. There is a carryover money from the judicial center roof. They actually have borrowed monies to replace that roof. And based on what the actual costs were, there was a surplus. So we are looking at the possibility of utilizing those funds to help offset the cost. So that is a work in progress. I guess what I'm asking the highway committee is basically if we can approve the contractor to perform the work based on financials, a financial source. If we can't come up with the money, then we scrap the project for this year. But I got to get the process started. I just want to get the ball rolling on it. And like I said, we will go down the road of trying to find the finances for it. And if worse comes to worse, like I said, we'll have to postpone it till next year. But I guess based on my recommendation, I and the cost, I would go with that Northwest Roofing. They're a reputable contractor, and like I said, they did the judicial center. From what I hear, it's not leaking. And Scott said they did a good job. So, like I said, it's contingent upon obviously finding the funding source.
Sure. Well, it's got to be done, but you got to have the money to do it, I guess. So,
Correct.
yeah. No, it's not, but
I would do, we go with Northwest Roofing, pending on financing.
motion been made and seconded to go with Northwest Roofing Company for the roof on the highway shop. Are there any other questions, comments?
What, so it's leak, obviously said it's leaking.
Yep.
How much more damage is it doing as it's leaking?
We don't know that. So
That's kind of why I asked the question. It feels like it's something.
so obviously
Building that's needed, can't get along without it. It's been, how bad is it gonna rot away and then cost
So our,
10 times more?
so 90% of our building is concrete. So we have concrete ceiling in our shop. So if it leaks through the joints, it's really not hurting anything per se through there. But we do have offices that have drop ceilings and insulation that we have had leaking in. We replaced all the ceiling tiles because they started having brown spots everywhere. Obviously you got to fix the roof before you fix the tiles, and we got brown spots still occurring. It's like I said, it's been an ongoing thing for the last 2 years. We've had it where it's raining inside the building. Facilities has done their best to go up there and try to patch as many holes as they can find, but it's all it takes is a one little pinhole and can create a huge problem. So yeah, that's, like I said, it's got to be done. It's just how it's going to get funded is the biggest issue. So.
Any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, 5-year county construction plan. If we have the money, huh?
Yeah, so I put together a 5-year improvement plan. I was kind of waiting to see, obviously, what happens with the 80-20 projects. We did apply for some 80-20 match projects that actually just got awarded this last month. Unfortunately, Dunn County did not receive any. So that's what I was waiting for. And it's understandable. I mean, the state's got a lot of money stuck into that County Road B project. So that's probably why why we're not getting any other funding for other projects. So that's why I was waiting on for the 5-year improvement. So I put together the 5-year improvement plan. Starting in 2023, based on the budget numbers of that $4.5 million. So I've taken basically what we have now for a construction budget of that right around that 4.3 with inflation, looking at right around that $4.5 million in 2023. Like I said, that's pretty much set in stone. Unfortunately, we can't scrap the County Road B project at this point in time unless we want to pay upwards of $10 million local funding to replace it ourselves. But so that's what I've got planned for 23. Going forward in 2024 throughout, there's some changes that I kind of want to make. Obviously, right now we are currently sticking all of our money into our dilapidated roadways. I mean, roads that are shot, that nobody wants to drive down. They're that deteriorated. Typically, we've always stuck all our money into that. What I want to start doing is only doing 2 of those roads per year. Obviously, we have a number of these roadways that are dilapidated. I did show you, there's a bar graph that was in with that packet of the vehicle registration. So this bar graph right here shows our current pavement ratings on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a perfect road, 1 being it shouldn't even be a road. It's that deteriorated. So this is based on the numbers that I printed off on May 9th. So basically what we stick all of our money into is those roads that are between 1 and 4 rating. So we are not sticking any money into the 5s or the 6s. We will be putting maintenance stuff into that, like crack filling and seal coating. But this bar graph shouldn't be I guess, is as high as it is on that low end of the roads ratings there. So I have looked at the possibility of how can we start getting those 5s and 6s up further, maybe into the 9s and 10s. So what I'm looking at is obviously Dunn County staff, we are limited on the number of employees we have. We have approximately 50 employees total at the highway department, including highways, field staff and administrative staff. It's tough for us to do a lot of these projects in-house. So what I'm looking at trying to do is maybe only doing maybe two roads a year that would be where I considered a little bit more extensive road construction, kind of like our county road Z and V projects and Q that we're doing this year. Where we're shoulder widening, adding base, we're doing all that. So we can get that done in-house. And then what I'm looking at trying to do is try to do some more pulverized and repaving roadways. To try to extend some of the money that we have, so we can get more bang for our buck. So if you look in 24, I'm trying to do approximately 13.17 miles of roadways at that $4.5 million for a construction budget. Some of these roads, like I say, County Road B on there from Packer Drive to County Trunk Double B is on there. That 3.36 miles in 2024. That would be a pulverize and repave. Like I said, I estimate currently based on numbers, it's about $1 million to do that pulverize and repave. So as we go forward, if we can kind of keep that same budget, we can do approximately right around that 15 to 17 miles based on that number. It'd be nice if we can get into the 20-25 miles per year, but unfortunately that's not going to happen unless we do something different. And mind you, based on our budget, I think it's going to be hard to do this.
So Dustin, how long does I think I've been told this, I don't know how many times, so how long does a pulverize and repave last? Estimate
20 years.
20 years, right? And a recondition
Same thing.
and an overlay.
Overlay, you're going to get probably 8 to 10 years out of it, out of an overlay.
I think you got to do what you got to do.
Like I said, I'm trying to look at ways of trying to put some of this money towards these roads that are at that point where we don't have to stick a lot of money into it. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar, like County Road M south of Sand Creek. That's one of those roads where I don't think we need to make it into a super highway. I mean, if we would just grind and relay that, I think a lot of individuals would be happy.
What about this? Now we're getting some funding for the county trunk I though, right?
Yes.
That's why, that's still gonna cost us 1.3?
Yep. No, so what I have allocated right there is what I estimate the total project cost to be. So that's not including the DOT LRIP funding, so we might have $200,000 allocated to that project.
Into the I.
Yeah,
Okay.
so out of that 1.3, we still have to pay 1.1. We have to pay the entire thing and they reimburse, the
Right.
state reimburses
Right.
us the allocated funds that are for that. So I don't show that on the 5-year plans, and some of this, it's hard to do a 5-year plan. It changes constantly.
No doubt.
As a newcomer to this process and looking at everything and learning right now, looking at your 5-year plan and your concept of pulverized repave, your concept of taking pretty good working roads, but making them sustainable so that we don't have to 5 years from now start replacing it's kind of like the roof thing. Let's get it fixed before it
Yep.
causes more damage.
Yep.
You know, saves you money in the long run. I don't know. To me, this makes a lot of sense to me. So
Yeah, and like I said, unfortunately, right now,
I get the cost. I
we're-
mean, we all know that. I mean,
we're sticking all of our money into roads that are 60 years old.
Right.
Not 42 years old, it's 60 plus years old.
But I've seen too, where you just like put an overlay on, but that's almost like you're wasting money. You also pulverize it. Otherwise you get the same little dips that were in there before. This way at least you have a decent base to work with.
See,
Take long for that overlay.
Like from the
The-
town hall to S.
Mhm.
They overlaid that, and that is just junk now.
It's okay for 1 year.
Yeah,
But after
just
that,
junk.
you got the same dips.
the problem we have in Dunn County is, we do not have a lot of base on our roadways. So that's the problem is, do we want to invest a lot of money into putting 3 inches of asphalt on poor base?
we don't
That-
have a lot of base and we got crappy weather to deal with.
Yep.
Heating and freezing and heat and
Yep, so it's trying to do as much as we can with the dollars that we have, so
like I said, I think this, you know, put some miles in on stuff that can really make it nice for a longer period of time, makes sense to me. But
Is that a
I
motion?
do.
Is that a motion?
I mean, in a perfect world, what I would love to see is we would have that $4 million put towards our dilapidated roads and then additional funding for
Yeah.
those roads that are in that 5 to 6 range where we could just do a grind and relay. That's the perfect world. Could it happen? Maybe.
There's gonna be some more 80/20 money coming out. Is that-
So that BIL funding, that federal COVID money, that has been allocated to transportation funds. The application processes are due June 1st. I am gonna be putting some of these roads on there for the possibility.
Sure.
And like I say, that's why this 5-year plan it's tough because it could change tomorrow. We might get a road that falls apart over the winter and has to be moved up. But it's something we have to do. We have to do this for the state as well. They need to know what our 5-year plan is. But I am gonna be applying for some BIL funding. I'm gonna try to do as much as I can. I did apply for, if you noticed in 2025, on County Road Double B. I have already submitted an application for that roadway to see if we can get the 80/20 match on that project. So I'm gonna try everything I can to get extra help. But unfortunately, we can't guarantee that. So
Does Dunn County have any interest in that, on Highway M? Just north of Colfax where it's real close to the Red Cedar River. I know the Army Corps of Engineers are looking at it. Is that a dead deal or that's still something going on or?
So I believe that was 3 years ago. It became a dead deal. It was scrapped at that time due to the costs. And let's say the hee-haw that the Army Corps was going through. It's not as simple as taking rock and throwing it over the bank, and they won't let you do that. So the design was to build a road down to it. And we didn't like the idea of taking trees out and all your stabilization on the side slopes and the sheer cost of it. And they were only gonna put a certain portion of money into it. And at that time, the county just didn't have it. So it basically got scrapped, and
That's where it's at.
when the road falls in, that's when, unfortunately, that's when maybe the Army Corps will respond to it in a reasonable, cost-effective manner.
Has there been any talk about like guardrails there or isn't it close enough to the bank?
So it's outside the clear zone, so it's not a issue at this point in time.
It's a long ways down though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely
You look
is.
down there with the tractor? Can you see?
Every time I go by,
Yeah, it's amazing. If you actually get out and look over the bank, it's,
you see the trees kind of going downhill once in a while down there. But
yeah,
it helps
it,
a lot when you got a more contour here, keep the water from going straight down. It's kind of gotta follow the ditches more. That's
Yeah.
a big difference there.
How do you do that on 79 up by Connorsville? Get away with that.
79 by Connorsville.
Right in that corner, you just re-slope that whole thing with dirt.
Not aware of that.
Oh,
This was like just recently?
this week, yeah.
Oh, I have no idea. First I've heard of it.
They did a really nice job, is what I was gonna tell you. But that's beside the point, I guess now.
You think that's gonna wash in, Gary, and within
It's not the
time?
same situation up there.
It's helped a lot to get it shaved, you know, just have the water, go before the water.
So-
Right in the middle and then going down. That's what really got people.
79 south of Connorsville. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
No?
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is a project like that, common sense kind of gets thrown out the door.
I just wonder how the state project could do that so easy. I mean, because that's a creek there too. Just looks really nice.
I don't know. But yeah, that's on the radar, but it's kind of not looked at for a permanent fix right at this time.
Any other questions on the 5-year plan? Have any other comments, Dustin? I didn't want to cut you off, but
Nope.
you're good to go. Is there a motion to approve the 5-year plan?
I so move.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the 5-year county construction plan. Are there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. All right. Consideration of resolutions, ordinances to be recommended to the county board.
So this is a resolution for a budget adjustment at Highway. We do have some additional state funding, which is a matching expense and revenue. We did have on that second page, it'll kind of show you what the highway department, what the award was for and what it was put towards. So there was $46,985.12 for a discretionary maintenance agreement to complete some deck sealing, which is basically kind of like a concrete bridge sealer that we put on some various state bridges. So they gave us an additional $46,985.12 for that. The other funding is the highway department. We received $230,000 for a discretionary maintenance agreement to construct the salt shed down in O'Galley. I don't know if you two are familiar with that. I know Mark and Gary probably aren't, but we're looking at building a shed down at our O'Galley shop that the state is basically paying for put on our property. So that's what that is. The other highway department funding was for $4,900 roughly for a local force agreement for a tree removal project and some miscellaneous maintenance on the I-94 scale. That's what they call the SWEF 63 scale. So the DOT is actually looking at, well, I shouldn't say it's the DOT. It's the State Patrol, and I can't recall what bureau that is, but they're going to be updating the scale out there, redoing the scale. I believe it's an all new scale house. And at that time, they're actually going to be building a salt shed out there for our utilization. So that's what that's for, is we actually had to go out and cut the trees so they can do some soil borings. So that was the funding that they did for that. The other ones are $90,000 that we received for discretionary maintenance agreement to do asphalt shoulder repairs on I-94 from the Wilson Creek Bridge to the Red Cedar Bridge. So that's something we'll be looking at accomplishing this summer. And then the last one on there just was for $185,700 for performance-based maintenance agreement for seal coating on Highway 25 from County Road D to 170. So this was the resolution to basically to be presented to county board for the additional state funding that we received at highway above and beyond what was budgeted in our routine maintenance agreement with the state. Any questions regarding that?
So all these funding from the state, did you have to apply for it, or was it automatically distributed to?
It was automatically distributed.
So there's no grant that had to be written or nothing?
So like that performance-based maintenance, that 185.7, that's basically, we have to put a contract together, what our costs are gonna be. They have to approve it and then they allocate the funds for it. So every one of them is like that pretty much. So yeah, we come up with estimated costs and they give us the money, I guess.
Can you generate any more income, because you do a lot of state and federal roads? Just kind of, everybody else is increasing their rates for everything else.
Jack them a little.
Well,
So you're talking on the state?
state and federal, you got 94, you got highway 12,
So
29.
we can't, I mean, obviously that's all set by the DOT. But yeah, all of our equipment, labor rates, that's all known to the state on what everything's cost.
Does
So
that change from year to year? like
It
the
does.
price? Oh, it does.
Yep.
That helps a little bit.
Yeah. Are there any other questions on? I suppose it'll be,
Have the DOT doing it so that you don't jack the price.
right.
pretty much they said it.
Well, isn't Wisconsin the only state in the union that the counties do the state roads?
We are the only state that does that.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
And
Okay.
and it works. It's efficient.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, we do. A second. Any other questions on it? Motion made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
I
Opposed?
didn't see
Carried.
who made the second. Jerry? Okay.
Jerry did.
Sorry.
No problem. Okay. Where am I agenda here? Oh, next meeting date. I guess that's about all we have left, June 15th.
And I believe it is June 15th. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I didn't look.
It's so June 1st is a Wednesday and then
It'll
June
be June
8th.
8th. It'll be June 8th.
So I won't be able to make the June 8th one.
Well, then we can't
'Cause
have.
that's where that's when the conference in the Dells is.
Yeah. Let me see. 15th would be county board. That
If that's-
night,
that's
I'm
the third
sure.
Wednesday,
Yeah. Is it okay with everyone? We do it the 15th because of Dustin being gone or?
that'd be okay. Me.
That works for everybody.
Okay. And on June 15th.
And then we can change transit too then, I guess.
There you go. There you go.
I'll get hold of Austin.
Well, we are adjourned then. We don't like to move off that second